You ever have one random sentence ruin your whole day? You walk into work or meet a friend and they casually drop, "Wow, you look tired. Are you okay?" Or, "Relax, you're taking this way too seriously." They forget it 2 seconds later, but your brain? It replays that line on loop. Suddenly you're questioning yourself, your energy drops, and by 3 p.m. you're still low-key, angry without really knowing why. Most of us were taught the same story. People make you angry. They ruin your mood. But that's not just wrong, it's dangerous, because the moment you believe other people control your emotions, you've already handed them your power. Here's the truth no one told you growing up. Yes, people can trigger you, but they cannot own your inner world unless you let them. In this video, we're going to break that pattern for good. By the end, you'll understand exactly why you get triggered so easily. You'll have a toolkit to keep anyone from hijacking your mood, and you'll know how to stay calm and centered, even when someone is rude, unfair, or totally out of line. Let's talk about one of the biggest emotional lies we've all been taught since we were kids. You've said it. I've said it. Everyone has said it. He made me angry. She ruined my whole day. It feels true, right? Someone snaps at you, someone talks down to you, someone throws a passive-aggressive comment your way, and instantly your chest tightens, your jaw locks, and your mood tanks. But here's the uncomfortable truth. They didn't create your anger. They only triggered it. There's a massive difference between the two. A trigger is just the spark. The meaning you attach to it, that's the explosion. Think of it this way. Someone says, "Why are you so sensitive?" That's the trigger, a small emotional poke. But what happens next happens inside you. You might tell yourself, "They don't respect me," or "I'm being judged again," or "I'm not allowed to feel what I feel." That inner story, often built from years of old wounds, is what creates the full emotional storm. Trigger equals the touch, meaning equals the story you add on top. And meaning is where anger actually lives. So let me ask you a real question and be honest with yourself. When was the last time you said, "She made me so mad," or "He drove me crazy today"? Think back to that moment. If that person hadn't walked into the room, if they never sent that message, if you never heard their comment, would the emotion still exist on its own? Or did their action simply hit a bruise that was already there? Because here's the truth most people never realize. You don't get angry because of people. You get angry because of what their behavior awakens in you. And once you understand that difference, once you can separate the trigger from the meaning, you stop giving other people the power to decide how you feel. This is the first step to becoming someone who can't be easily shaken, someone who stays centered no matter who's talking, what they say, or how they behave. You're not broken. Your buttons are just showing you where healing needs to happen. Here's something that can change your entire relationship with anger in less than 2 minutes. Literally. It's called the 90-second rule, and once you understand it, you'll never look at your reactions the same way again. Here's what actually happens inside your body when someone says something irritating, disrespectful, or dismissive. Your nervous system fires first, not your mind, not your personality, not the real you. Your body gets hit with a quick surge of stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, that electric jolt in your chest. That physical reaction, that chemical wave only lasts about 90 seconds. 90 seconds, that's all. If you don't feed the reaction with more thoughts, more stories, more interpretations, the emotion naturally fades on its own. It rises and it falls. But here's the problem. Most of us don't let it fall. Someone says, "Calm down," or "Why are you so dramatic?" or "You're overreacting." And instead of letting the chemical wave pass, we start pouring mental gasoline on the fire. He always talks to me like I'm stupid. She doesn't respect me. Why am I never enough? That was so rude. What's their problem? And suddenly, what should have been a 90-second experience becomes a 90-minute spiral, a 9-hour mood crash, or a 9-day emotional grudge. Think of it like this. A smoke alarm goes off because you burnt the toast. That's the trigger. But instead of opening a window and letting the smoke out, you keep burning more toast. You keep adding more smoke. Then you wonder why your house feels unlivable. Here's the practice I want you to try. Next time someone says something that hits you wrong, before you defend yourself, before you shut down, before you snap, pause and silently say, "This is just 90 seconds of chemistry, not the whole story, not the whole day, not the whole me." When you can ride out those first 90 seconds, you stop letting other people pull you into emotional storms. You reclaim control, and you step into the version of yourself who responds, not reacts. Here's where we go deeper, because anger is never just about the moment you're in. Carl Jung said something profound. Not every reaction belongs to this moment. And when it comes to anger, that sentence explains everything. Most people think they're reacting to what someone just said. But what you're actually reacting to is the entire emotional archive behind it. This is what Jung called a trauma complex. Don't let the word scare you. A trauma complex isn't a disorder, it's a pattern. It's simply a cluster of old memories, old emotions and old meanings that never got processed fully. Imagine them like beads on a string, all tied to one theme. Not feeling enough, not feeling safe, not feeling seen. So when someone hits one of those themes, even accidentally, you don't just feel this moment, you feel the whole string. Picture this. When you were little, maybe people told you, "You're too sensitive, you're weak, you always mess things up." Maybe they said it casually, maybe they said it in anger. Maybe they said it so often that it embedded itself into your sense of self. Fast forward to adulthood. You're at work, doing your best, juggling 10 things at once. Your boss walks past, glances at your project and says, "This looks a little sloppy." In that second, it shouldn't hurt that much. It's just one sentence. It's mild feedback. Objectively, it's nothing. But the reason your chest tightens, your face heats up, and your whole day collapses is because that comment didn't hit today's version of you. It hit the younger you who was told she wasn't enough. It struck the exact same nerve that was bruised years ago. This is a trauma complex in action, one tiny moment, and the whole emotional history wakes up. Jung called it an autonomous fragment of the psyche because it acts on its own, fast, intense, and without your permission. And here's the part you need to hear. You're not dramatic, you're not unstable, you're not too much. You're responding to the weight of everything you carried without support. And your anger isn't an overreaction, it's a message, a flare from a part of you that was never truly heard, never validated, never protected. Once you can see that, something shifts. You stop blaming yourself for losing control. You stop thinking you're broken. You start understanding that your reactions are logical, not crazy, human, not flawed. And this understanding frees you because you can finally work with the real wound instead of attacking yourself for the symptom. Let's slow things down and look at what actually happens in those moments that make you angry. There's always two parts to every emotional reaction: the event and the story you tell yourself about the event. Most people mix the two together and suffer for no reason. So let's separate them. The event: they didn't reply to my message, that's all. That's the raw fact. Neutral, uncomplicated, emotion-free. But your mind rarely stops at the fact. In a split second, it starts filling in the gaps with meaning. And this is where the emotional damage begins. Your brain jumps straight to fear. They're ignoring me. I'm not important. They're losing interest. I'm being abandoned again. And instantly your body reacts, your chest tightens, you feel unwanted, insecure, angry, not because of the event, but because of the meaning you attach to it. This is how tiny moments become emotional hurricanes. Same event, completely different interpretation. They're probably busy. People get overwhelmed. I'm still okay. No panic, no shame, no spiraling, just a calm acceptance that other people have lives, schedules, stress, and distractions that have nothing to do with your worth. Same event. Two stories. Two emotional universes. So here's the real question. And I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. When was the last time you got upset at someone, not because of what they actually did, but because of the story you wrote in your head? Be honest. Was it that friend who took too long to reply? Was it your partner's short message? Was it your co-worker's tone? Was it a stranger's comment? How many of your emotional reactions are rooted not in what happened, but in what you imagined it meant? This is the moment everything shifts. Because once you learn to question the story instead of reacting to it, you stop letting a missed text ruin your mood, your energy, or your day. You take back control. And no one, not a friend, not a partner, not a stranger, gets to hijack your peace anymore. There's a part of you that almost no one talks about. But once you learn how to use it, you become almost untouchable. It's called the observer self, the calm, steady inner witness that sees everything you feel without becoming the feeling. Most people live their whole lives reacting from the inside of their emotions. When anger shows up, they become anger. When fear shows up, they become fear. When shame shows up, they become shame. But the observer self works differently. Instead of saying, I'm angry, it says, I notice anger rising. Instead of saying, I'm hurt, it says, I notice hurt in my chest. That tiny shift changes everything, because the moment you notice an emotion, you're no longer drowning in it, or you're standing on solid ground watching it move through you. This is where Stoicism connects perfectly. Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions, pretending you don't feel hurt, or forcing yourself to be strong. It's about creating space between the feeling and the reaction. It's about letting emotions rise without letting them control your next move. It's the ability to think, wow, that comment stung, and I can still choose how to respond. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Imagine someone throws a spark at you. Most people let it ignite a wildfire inside them. The observer self lets the spark fall on water. Because when you can see your feelings without becoming them, nobody gets to control your mood, nobody gets to push your buttons, and nobody gets to hijack your peace. You're not your anger, you're not your fear, you're not your trigger, you're the one who sees them, and that's where your power begins. At some point, every one of us wakes up to a hard truth. Not everyone who upsets you is trying to hurt you, and not everyone who triggers you deserves access to your inner world. This is exactly where Stoicism becomes a superpower. Not the cold, emotionless stereotype people imagine, but the real kind, the kind that lets you love fully, care deeply, stay connected without losing yourself. The kind that keeps your inner axis steady even when someone else is spinning. Stoicism isn't about shutting down, it's about staying rooted. It's the ability to think, that comment stung, but it doesn't get to control me. And to make this insanely simple, I want you to picture your inner world as two columns. What you can't control, you can't control. what people say, what they think about you, how they react, how quickly they text back, what mood they're in, what stories they create in their own minds. Most people exhaust themselves trying to control this column. They replay conversations, they over-explain, they worry about every tone, every emoji, every silence. And the more they try to control other people, the more they lose control of themselves. What you can control. But here's the column that actually changes your life. The meaning you attach to their behavior. The story you choose to believe. The way you respond. The energy you bring into the room. Where you place your attention, how you take care of your emotional state. This is where your real power lives. Someone can snap at you. You can't control that. But you can control whether you carry their mood for the rest of your day. Someone can misunderstand you, and you can't control that either. But you can control whether you let it define you. Someone can ignore your message. That's their choice. But your peace, that's yours. Epictetus said it beautifully. You cannot control what happens to you, only how you respond to it. And here's your new mantra, the line I want you to tattoo on your mind. Your peace is your responsibility, not their behavior. When you live from this truth, no one's tone, silence, or mood gets to hijack your day. You become someone who chooses responses, not reactions, someone who stays steady, not shaken, someone who lives from internal strength, not external chaos. That's Stoicism, and that's emotional freedom. There's something you absolutely need to understand if you want real emotional freedom. Being unbothered does not mean tolerating everything. It doesn't mean becoming a doormat. It doesn't mean staying calm while someone slowly chips away at your dignity. There's a huge difference between a normal emotional trigger and actual disrespect. A normal trigger is when someone says something clumsy, thoughtless, or annoying, and your old wounds react. That's where the emotional skills we've talked about, the observer self, the 90-second rule, Stoicism, actually help you grow. But disrespect, manipulation, constant criticism, passive-aggressive digs, being spoken to like you don't matter, that's not a trigger to manage, that's a boundary to set. Maybe you have a friend who always jokes at your expense, not playful teasing, but comments that hit below the belt. You laugh it off, but it stings every time. A boundary sounds like this. Hey, I know you're joking, but those comments land harder than you think. I don't want to be talked to that way. Not dramatic, not angry, just clear. If they adjust, great, they respect you. But if nothing changes, if the comments keep coming, if they brush it off or make you feel like you're too sensitive, that's when you step back, not to punish them, but to protect yourself. Because here's the truth. You're not required to stay in environments that shrink you. You don't earn emotional strength by letting people walk all over you. You earn emotional strength by knowing when to stay centered and when to walk away. So here's the question you need to sit with, and it might hit harder than you expect. Are you calling it being stoic? When really you should be saying enough? Are you trying to prove how unbothered you are, when the real issue is that someone is crossing lines you've never enforced? Emotional mastery isn't about tolerating more, it's about knowing what deserves your calm and what deserves your exit. Because you're not here to survive relationships, you're here to thrive in them. And boundaries are the bridge between the two. Now let's flip the entire way you see difficult people, because once you do, they lose a shocking amount of power over you. Most of us spend our lives avoiding certain personalities, the critic, the unreliable one, the control freak, the drama magnet. They drain your energy, test your patience, push your buttons, and you start wishing they would just disappear from your world. But what if I told you something wild? Difficult people are emotional trainers. Not because their behavior is acceptable, but because every irritating person in your life is secretly shaping a part of you that needs to grow. That person who always criticizes you, the one who nitpicks everything you do, they're training your self-worth. They're teaching you how to stop seeking external validation and how to trust your own value even when someone else doesn't see it. The person who constantly shows up late, cancels last minute, or treats your time like it's optional. They're training your boundaries. They're teaching you to say, hey, my time matters too, and to stop rearranging your life for people who don't show up. And the person who tries to control you, the one who wants things their way, who micromanages, who pushes and presses until you break, they're training your assertiveness. They're teaching you how to stand your ground without raising your voice, without abandoning yourself, without folding just to keep the peace. And here's the real punchline. When someone consistently bothers you, they're pointing directly at a skill your soul is ready to develop. So let me ask you and answer honestly, the person who frustrates you the most right now, what skill are they forcing you to build? Is it patience, confidence, self-respect, saying no, letting go, not taking things personally? Because once you learn to see people through this lens, the entire emotional game changes. Now, I want to make something very clear. This is not an excuse for toxic behavior. This is not about just accepting harmful patterns. Boundaries and accountability still matter. This mindset is not about tolerating disrespect. It's about reclaiming power. It's about saying, I may not control how they behave, but I absolutely control what I learn from it. Suddenly you stop feeling like life is happening to you, and you start feeling like life is shaping you. You grow stronger, you grow clearer, you grow steadier, and every annoying person becomes another rep at the emotional gym. No one gets to break you when every experience is building you. If you want to become the kind of person no one can shake, no one can drain, no one can emotionally hijack, you need a simple daily routine that protects your peace like armor. Not complicated, not time-consuming, just a steady structure that keeps you centered from morning to night. Let's build it. Morning, claim your mood before the world touches it. Before you check your phone, talk to anyone, or touch social media. Set your emotional tone. Say 2 quick affirmations. Today, no one controls my mood but me. I choose responses, not reactions. These aren't motivational quotes, they're commands. They tell your brain, I decide how I feel today. Not other people, not their tone, not their silence. You, when you're triggered. The 3-step reset triggers will happen, but your reaction, that's yours. Step 1, name it. I notice anger rising. I notice my chest tightening. Naming it equals taming it. Step 2, separate fact from story. Fact, I spoke sharply. Story, they don't respect me. The fact is neutral, the story is optional. Step 3, ask, what response would I be proud of tomorrow? That one question pulls you into leadership, not reactivity. Evening, the 5-minute peace check. Before bed, journal 3 quick lines. 1. What bothered me today? 2. How did I respond? 3. How do I want to respond next time? 5 minutes. 0 judgment, just awareness. Do this daily and your emotional baseline shifts. People stop having access to your mood. Small things stop derailing you. Drama stops hooking you. Because in the end, your peace was never theirs to take. It was always yours to protect. So what does a truly unbothered person look like? It's not someone who never gets angry. It's not someone who floats through life without feeling anything. And it's definitely not someone who smiles while being disrespected. A genuinely unbothered person is someone who knows who they are, knows their worth, refuses to trade their peace for someone else's chaos. They feel emotions, of course they do, but they don't hand those emotions over to anyone else. They don't let someone's tone, silence, mood, or judgment pull them out of their own center. The shift happens the moment you stop asking, "Why are they making me angry?" and start asking, "Who do I want to be in this moment?" Because anger is a reaction, but calm is a choice, a practiced skill, a decision rooted in self-respect. And when you live from that place, everything changes. People might still shout. They might ghost you, misunderstand you, criticize you, project their pain onto you. That's their world, but they no longer hold the keys to your inner world. Only you do. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Which part of this message hit you the hardest? Have you experienced a moment where someone tried to pull you into their chaos? Share your story below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And remember this one truth above all: your power isn't in controlling others. It's in mastering how you respond to them.